Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host Joseph Mosia. Parliament is now officially open. Political parties have now finally nailed their colors to the mast and the battle lines are drawn. The form of the new government, the grand coalition of diverse political views and beliefs, is now the front and center of political discourse. Over several days, we've had leaders outline their plans for the country for the next 5 years. In this episode, I look at what the leaders have said and contrast it with their actions and the actions of their parties. Let's get right into it. In his reply to the debate on the presidency's budget vote, President Cyril Ramaphosa delivered a moving statement of intent for the government and the country going forward.
Many people chose not to vote in the last election. Some are turning to extreme or even turning against democracy itself. We must seize the opportunity that this government of national unity presents to restore these people's trust in our democracy and to realize the promise of dignity and equality that is contained in our Constitution. Now more than ever, we must demonstrate what the people of South Africa can achieve when we do work together. A society is made up of the choices that its people make every day. Time and again, in moments such as this, South Africans have chosen the path of progress. We have chosen peace, not violence. We have chosen unity, not division. We have chosen hope and never succumb to fear. We have risen above adversity and we have beaten the odds, even as democracy comes under threat across the globe. With the rise of authoritarianism and ethnic nationalism in new forms, our democracy proudly remains firm. And that is what we should be proud of.
There are not too many people who will disagree with these sentiments. But exactly how does Ramaphosa hope to convince the country of his sincerity if the actions of his party do not conform to what he says? Seated in the same room with Ramaphosa was Zizi Kodwa, a man facing serious charges and who, according to the ANC's own policy, is not supposed to be a member of parliament. It will be difficult for the president to deny that Kodwa was there because he is part of the ANC faction that supports him. That Kodwa has now resigned offers little comfort because it is clear that he was pushed. Sadly, Kodwa is not the only one. Faith Mutambi, Malusi Kigaba and Gwede Mantashe have been directly implicated as beneficiaries and enablers of state capture. Kusala Sangoni and Zweli Mkhize have been fingered in COVID-19 related corruption. The issue is not whether these people have committed any crimes. It is about the serious questions about their integrity that have not been answered. Their presence in the ANC's caucus makes the president's words of wisdom and courage sound hollow. And then there is the new Minister of Agriculture and DA leader John Steenhuisen.
If this government of national unity succeeds in delivering on its apex priority of growing the economy and creating jobs, then the builders will defeat the breakers once and for all. And this is because if we rapidly expand growth and job creation, we will diffuse the populist tinderbox that the breakers continuously exploit for their own gain. Let me tell you right now that the single greatest fear of the breakers in this house is that the government of national unity succeeds in growing the economy and making South Africa a better place. The greatest fear of the breakers is not that South Africa fails. It'll suit them just fine. If the country goes up in smoke it'll fuel the politics of division and hatred upon which they thrive. No, the breakers' greatest fear is that South Africa succeeds and our people prosper. Because if that happens, it will destroy the foundation upon which the breakers have built their ugly politics of resentment and populism.
Steenhuisen's commitment to the GNU has been resolute from the beginning. But there are powerful voices in his party that clearly do not care about the success of the new government. They are led by former party leader and now chair of the Federal Council, Helen Zille. Every time Helen Zille makes public pronouncements, she speaks in a manner that seeks to get those on the other side to be fed up and to walk away from the arrangement. And then we have a party that is not really a party. The MKP is a conglomeration of people who pay their allegiance to an individual who appoints and removes them at a whim. This is reflected in the speeches of the parliamentary leader, Dr. John Hlophe, a former judge who now speaks with a different tongue.
When we were colonized, we had our own systems of justice in place. African customary law, which is close to our heart. Colonization brought with it a foreign legal system, Roman Dutch law, and this was done in order to protect and preserve the interests of those who colonize us. I challenge you to tell me a single country in Europe which is governed by African law. A single country in Europe which is governed by African law. If you can't tell me, why do we allow Roman Dutch law, which does not reflect the views and the aspirations of the majority of the people in this country?
These sentiments reflect the views of Jacob Zuma, who, having been in more courtrooms than one can count, is bitter against the constitution and the judicial system. Having been impeached and removed from the judiciary, Hlophe's presence in parliament presents its own ethical problems. Despite his sordid background as a former inmate, Gayton McKenzie has lit up parliament and the government with his robustness. In defense of his participation in GNU, he has taken on all comers with his sense of humor and straight talk.
I want to say to Honorable Judge Hlophe, I'm sitting there and I'm shocked because you, Honorable Judge, have sent many of my old friends to jail with Roman Dutch law, which you enjoyed. While you were getting you talk about the blue lights. While you were getting the perks of the judge, being a judge, you never saw something wrong with blue light. You never saw something wrong with Roman Dutch law. Today, when you're no longer there, now you are seeing something wrong with Roman Dutch law. It cannot be. I'm going to pay for an appeal for everybody that has been sentenced by you, because you sentenced them with the wrong law according to you.
Even though his party has not grown in the past two elections, Julius Malema has refused to change course. He steadfastly holds on to racist rhetoric that gets him on television and newspaper front pages.
In the battle against neo-apartheid and neo-colonialism, you chose the side of the oppressor like you did in the past, yet pretending to be with us, the oppressed people. Why will the apartheid beneficiaries say that among all black political leaders, you are the only one they can work with, to an extent that you are called a better black with a better accent, and you believe them over us? They call us criminals who must be arrested, whether we have committed any crime or not, because we disagree with them politically, and you believe them over us. Your own brothers and sisters who come from Shawela and Venda with you are today looked down because of you.
IFP President Velenkosini Hlabisa comes across as a measured and calm individual who brings a cool head to the table.
The people of South Africa who went to the polls on 29 May placed the future of our country for the next 5 years in the hands of a coalition government. Up front, I must declare that the IFP is committed in making the government of national unity stable and successful, for it is the result of the will of the people of South Africa. The GNU is not about politics, but is about the will of the people and the future of our country. We campaigned and expressed our views to the electorate, but the electorate in response said, work together. Your Excellency, the IFP has been frank and honest about the state of our country and the needs of our people. For 29 years, the IFP, led by Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, remained in this house as a voice of reason, urging those in power to do the right thing. The late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, whether he spoke as a leader of a constructive opposition, or as a minister of cabinet, or as an acting president of the Republic, he taught us in the IFP of the duty we have to speak loudly on behalf of the people. We will continue to play that role constructively in the GNU for the good of our country.
It is difficult to figure out whether Hlabisa leads the IFP or whether he is just a figurehead. Leading up to the elections, the party did strange things like using the image of the founder, the late Mangosuthu Buthelezi, on its election posters and banners. The use of Buthelezi's voice on radio adverts has also raised eyebrows, as well as questions about how much power Hlabisa really has in the party. It is going to be a long ride with nasty twists and turns, but South Africa is used to that by now, and we will come out on the other side, albeit bruised and battle-weary. Can I ask you to please subscribe to my channel, like the posts, as well as share them with whoever you can. In this way, the channel can grow and then I can be able to continue to share my opinions and views of the political scene with you. See you in the next one.